What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm really excited to bring you my disassembly and skiff bearing install for the EMP EDC Nymble X. I did recently do the disassembly and maintenance, but what I wanted to go ahead and do, because I feel like this one's probably going to be in the collection for a while, I wanted to go ahead and install some skiff bearings. Also, I wanted to see how this bolt was going to do today, if it was going to behave or if it was going to try to be a pain in the ass. Now, the bottom bolt is not attached to anything in particular, and I'm looking at it and you can't see it, but you see the hole right there. That really doesn't need to come out. That top bolt, that bolt, and this one here are what needs to come out. I do have the mat, bits, and drivers and everything linked down below for your convenience, in case you want a good set of quality tools to use for your disassembly. Now, this one here is the CRKT tool made by Scout Tools, but they also make the driver if you want like an affordable kind of cool bearing style driver without having to pay an arm and a leg for it, which I really do appreciate. I'm just going to check really quick to see. Nope, T8 throughout the body, so you will not need that T6, so we're going to go ahead and set that aside. And let's see. Yeah, since I disassembled it, no issues whatsoever pulling that bolt out. Hopefully you can see that clearly came out. And it is a titanium bolt. I'm putting it over in the pocket for the magnet over there, and it is not sticking to the magnet. I'm going to go ahead and back out the pivot. Hopefully you're able to see that there. I do have a little bit of Loctite. I'm going to clean that up a little bit too. And then the remaining bolt for the frame, take that off and it should be ready to disassemble. So let's do, well, that'll be obvious. That's the pocket clip screw. I'm going to go ahead and set that down. Yeah, I was going to say, because I disassembled it recently, it's going to come right apart. I am going to use the tool from Skiff Bearing to measure the pivot and the bearing to make sure that I'm putting the correct, I'm thinking it's 5mm, but I did recently do my Vero Impulse, and that was actually 6mm 1/16. So let's go ahead and check the pivot real quick. I believe it is a 5mm. Yep, 5 on the money. So this is probably 1/16. Yep, 5 1/16. Just so you can see how convenient that tool is to use to make sure that you're using it, even if, like me, you have like a stash of Rocket Glide bearings ready to go. Now, let's see. I haven't had this long, and it does look like it has a little bit of a track. So let's go ahead. All right. And flip the bearings. Trying. I think it's going to make me take the pivot out to get to it, so that's fine. Let's see, is this captive? It's captive, but I think it's captive. Oh no, I did have to kind of start to work the pivot out a little bit there to get this washer off. It was definitely sitting snug in there, so let me go ahead and get that back in there. And this thing has extremely tight tolerances. And the D-shape flat spot faces forward, and just so you can see here, the D-shape is also facing forward, so it should be no issue going back together. Go ahead and clean your pivot of any of the remaining, I think mine is just the grease that I used the last time to do the maintenance on this. I'm going to go ahead and clean the pivot, and then I am going to flip it over to the smooth side so that the smooth side is out and then the existing track is facing the blade itself. Reinstall my numbered backspacer there as well. There we go. Woo. Making me work for it. All right, so let's get a set of the 5mm 1/16. You can see right there. I did have these on my Malibu, but I don't have the Malibu anymore, so it is going to be installed on. And in case you're doing the disassembly, the smooth side was facing the blade. Go ahead and grab your oil of choice and just drop a little bit on the bearings themselves and work that in. Oh, I don't think this is in all the way. There we go. There you go. Should sit in there nicely. And then what you can also do is just a little bit of lube on the top of your pivot. There we go. Reinstall your blade. There we go. Same thing. Rinse and repeat for your bearings. And install your washer, which is hiding. Make sure your track side is out if you are installing new bearings on your skiffs. If you're installing the skiffs, you can go ahead and drop that down into place. Why does it feel like it's moved? Let me see. Did the pivot move? All right, let's see here. I am going to clean the excess Loctite off of the pivot because there is a lot. I think I got it cleaned up kind of good. Hold on, let me see something. All right, now that we cleaned off the old Loctite, let's go ahead and get a little bit of Loctite on for the reinstall. Yep, nice and sandwiched. I'm gonna back it off a little bit. And then let's go ahead and reinstall the pocket clip bolt. Ugh. These button screws are the worst. Okay, that feels pretty good. And reinstall the body screw. Nice and tight. Nice and centered. Hard to tell on the camera. No lock rock, nice and smooth. So we're gonna set that aside and let that sit for 24 hours and not fidget with our knives unless you're crazy like Kevin and want to use super glue so that you can play with your toy immediately, which no judgment if you are. That's just not for me. I like to actually just let mine cure with the Loctite because I feel like that's so much easier to manage. And then for me, I'm just making the note here that this is the Nymble so that I know where these came out of so that they can go back in. And I like to do that if there's any variances on these bearings. If I, for whatever reason, want to put it back completely stock, then I know exactly which ones were in this knife for the tracks that were being worn on the other side. So when I flip it back, it's nice and smooth. There's no issues whatsoever. So hopefully that makes sense. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Thanks to everyone out there that supports the channel regularly. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week. And until next time, peace.